Welcome to this session on NSPIRE 3.0, which is the new inspection protocol. It replaces UPCS as the basis of the REAC inspection. Let me direct you to our free website at reacguru.com/inspire. When you go to that web page, you will first see a real basic page like this. It has a link to HUD's NSPIRE website where you can download the over 500 pages of NSPIRE standards. You've got a link to our NSPIRE 3.0 Simplified web page. As of September 21st, 2023, there was a link to my YouTube video on how NSPIRE is different from UPCS. That's about a 40-minute video if you care to watch that. So let's just click on the NSPIRE Simplified link that takes you back to this page. It's important to understand what we've got on this resource. This is a very, very comprehensive NSPIRE 3.0 resource. It starts, of course, with just a logo that says NSPIRE. Then it has an alphabetical index. Any one of these links is a link that will take you to a place further down the page. I'll use the example of electrical conductor, outlet, and switch. When I click on that, it takes me to the electrical outlet and switch deficiency. It should say conductor, outlet, and switch. There are 5 deficiencies, D1, D2, D3, D4, D5. You'll notice that there are scoring values. Those scoring values come under the headings of U, I, and O for unit, inside, and outside. You'll notice that they are color-coded. The items that are on a red or maroon background with bold white numbers, those are items that we consider life-threatening. The level of severity is the highest level of severity in this inspection protocol. The items in pink, a pink background with black letters, those are the items that we consider to be severe level of severity. Items with a yellow background are items that we consider to have a moderate severity. And there are a very few, like here, D1 under cooking appliance, range, cooktop, oven does not ignite or produce heat. For an inside deficiency, you see that that's light gray numbers on a white background. That's what we consider a low or normal severity. So there are 4 levels of severity. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. As you use this matrix, you'll notice interspersed kind of, sporadically through this thing, you see the link that says top. You click on that link, it takes you back to the alphabetical index. Below the alphabetical index, there is a matrix there that tells us the base scoring values for any given level of severity. Throughout our matrix, U, I, and O stand for unit, inside, and outside. Items that have a level of severity of life-threatening, that's our highest level of severity. For unit deficiencies, they have a base scoring value of 60 points. For the inside, it's a base value of 54.5. For the outside, it's a base value of 49.6. Does that mean you could lose 60 points for one deficiency in a unit? Yes, it does. But that would only be under circumstances where the inspection only involves one single unit. So in other words, our sample size would be 1 unit. And that would only happen on a property where the entire property has only 1 unit. So what happens instead is these numbers get divided by the number of units that we're inspecting. So let's say we've got a property that has 100 units. That property would have a sample size of 25 units. So 25 units would be inspected, and this 60 would get divided by 25. When we are inspecting 25 units, the actual scoring value would be 2.4. And it's just kind of coincidental that that's the same as a low severity item. It's just a matter that we've divided it by 25. Now, something you need to understand about this simplified guide to NSPIRE is that the original NSPIRE 3.0 documentation runs over 500 pages long. We've reduced that content to about 8 small pages for our famous laminated flip field guide that you can purchase from the inspection group. And we've abbreviated that down to about 40 pages of standards for our full training manual. Now, I mentioned you can purchase the flip field guide. You will be able to purchase the manual that has the longer definitions. In the meanwhile, all of that information is also provided here for free on this web page. So the links that you can see in the index above go to a shorter version of the definitions. When you get to the shorter version of the definitions, the underlined terms like address and signage here goes to the longer definitions. Here's our longer definition for address and signs. When we're in this longer section, we can click top, takes us back to our index. So the standards that we're showing here are based on the latest published version of NSPIRE 3.0 as they were published June 20th of 2023. The scoring values that we're showing throughout this guide, these scoring values are based on a 100-unit property where we would be inspecting 25 units. If your property has more than 100 units, the sample size would be larger than 25. If your property is a smaller property, we would be inspecting fewer units. So we'll end this section, which is a basic introduction to the web page, and we'll talk about our sample chart. This is the sample chart that will be employed for NSPIRE inspections. NSPIRE 3.0, of course, being the replacement inspection protocol that is going to replace UPCS as the basis of the REAC inspection. And the number of units to be inspected on any given property is based on the number of units on that property. For a very small property where we've got only 1 unit, of course, we could only inspect 1 unit. For a property with 28 to 30 units, we would inspect 16. For a property with 50 units, falls between 46 and 51, we would inspect 20 units. If we had a property with 100 units, we would inspect 25. And the most we would ever inspect, if we've got a property that has 921 units or more, we would inspect 32 units, and that would be the most we ever inspect. Now, why is the sample size so important? The sample size is so important because what happens is we divide the base scoring values for each of our deficiencies. Those base scoring values get divided by the number of units being inspected. So for example, on a property with 100 units, a life-threatening health and safety issue in a unit has a base value of 60 points. By the way, U, I, and O stands for unit, inside, outside. So we would divide 60 by 25, and we would find that any life-threatening issue has a scoring value of 2.4. So those are our base values. We always divide the base value by the number of units being inspected. And that works the same way whether we're talking about unit issues, inside issues, or outside issues. The scoring value of each of those gets divided by the number of units being inspected. So let's get back to our web page. So here we are back at our web page. Let's look at our alphabetical index. There are 63 items there. Let's just take one or two at random to remember how this works. For example, toilet. If I click on toilet, it takes me to the toilet deficiency. There are 8 different deficiencies. D1, only one toilet was installed and it's missing. Now, this is not really going to kill somebody, but it is considered amongst our life-threatening issues, and it has a scoring value of 2.4 points in a unit if we have a 100-unit property where we're inspecting 25 units. Again, this would have a lower value on a larger property. It would have a higher value on a smaller property. D2, a toilet is missing, but there is another operational toilet in the unit or in the common restroom. This can be a unit deficiency. It can be an inside deficiency. What we used to call common areas inside. D3, the only toilet in an area is damaged or inoperable. That's worth about just over 0.2 of a point in a unit, 0.2 of a point in a common area inside the building. D4 is when a toilet is damaged or inoperable. We're not going to read all of these right now. I want to remind you that for any given abbreviated deficiency, you can click on the underlined term and it takes us to a more complete definition. So it says a toilet is a plumbing fixture used to receive human waste and to discharge it through a waste pipe using water as a conveying method. Common components: a tank, a bowl, a lid, a seat, a flush handle, a drain, drain lines, supply valve, supply line, wax ring, float ball, float cup, refill tube, a ball cock, trip lever, a chain, a flapper, an overflow tube, a trap, a closet bend. So they name a bunch of different components there. D1, the only one toilet was installed and it is missing. Deficiency, only one toilet was installed and it is missing, i.e., evidence of prior installation, but it's now not present or it's incomplete. For more information, toilets may be installed in unfinished spaces or common restrooms that have been converted for another use, like a storage room. In these cases, the sewer line and supply lines must be properly capped to prevent exposure to sewer gas and leaks. In the event that a toilet was never installed by design, e.g., for example, in an SRO property, that's a single room occupancy. Many inspectors have never seen that. It's kind of like a dormitory where the resident has a single room and then they share a bathroom with the other residents. In the event that a toilet was never installed by design, then the shared facilities are considered part of the unit location for inspection purposes. D2, toilet is missing, and at least one toilet is installed elsewhere within the unit that is operational. Deficiency, a toilet is missing, i.e., there's evidence of prior installation, but it's now not present or it's incomplete, and at least one other toilet is installed elsewhere within the unit that is operational. Again, it gives us the same comments. For more information, toilets may be installed in unfinished spaces, blah, blah. The caps, the supply valves, the sewer lines and supply valves must be properly capped to prevent exposure to sewer gas and leaks. And then it's got the same language there about an SRO property. That may also include assisted living where the resident has just one room, but they share a toilet, share a bathroom with another resident. That's probably more common in skilled nursing than it is in assisted living. So I'm not going to read the entire definition at this point. I just wanted to show you how when you look at the simple definitions, like we've got here, those 8 lines of text actually represent quite a bit of text, some of which is repetitive. And we've done our best to try to boil that down to the most essential language. Just keep in mind that what you see on this simplified web page does not represent any kind of legal definitions.